So hi everyone. My name is Maria, and I'm tuning in here from California lockdown. Trying to get the most out of this pandemic and self isolation. And I'm really happy to be here and to address all of you guys, all the participants, all the supporters of the Homathon, and all the organizers who have put a very hard work in order to make this all happen. And I know for sure how's the feeling of holding all the MENA region together and trying to tackle the issues all of us are facing. Because I'm a big, huge hackathon fan myself. I've been literally involved for the past few weeks in, I think, already 4 months being organized, including a very local one, and also on the other side, the global one, which is called the Global Hack, where we gathered almost 12,000 participants from across the world. It was 98 countries involved, and so many great people. So basically, I'm a big fan, and I know that, and mainly due to the fact that this platform, also the Homathon platform, will really impact the way how we live in the future, and we'll see some really cool, successful stories out of these ideas, because I have witnessed it myself. I can already name a few success stories that are emerging out of hackathons, so that this platform will also bring us fruits that we are all deserving. And but before I get to the point, as I mentioned, my name is Maria, and why I'm here, I'm going to be your moderator for the next 1 hour session. I'm not going to be the only one. You can see all of my panelists are being lined up here in the Zoom call as well. And we'll be discussing a very hot topic these days, which is remote work, and how the lockdown itself has impacted the way we do business, the way we manage business, and our teams, and thus our clients. My background, real short, I run a company that focuses on innovation strategy by working mainly with organizations who are bold enough to shift status quo. And as well as I'm a co-founder of a startup community nonprofit called Techchill, which focuses on fostering technology entrepreneurship in the Baltic states and beyond. So that's in short about me, and I think now it's the time to get to the point, and I would like to introduce a stellar lineup that we all see now. Our various industry experts who also happen to be a key supporters of Homathon. So first of all, guys, thank you so much for making this happen. I definitely appreciate it, and I know that the MENA region will be doing the same. And so let's just cut to the chase. We'll be joined on this panel discussion by Fahed, who is the Senior President of Middle East, East Europe, and Africa for Oracle. Fahed, please say hi, and why are you excited to join this discussion?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Fahad Al Turayf. I'm the country leader. Just to clarify, I'm the country leader for Oracle Saudi Arabia. I'm happy to be with you today, and we are, as Oracle, happy to participate on this Homathon. We are participating in multiple sessions to help and support the participants. I wish all the participants a good luck, and I wish them all also all the best to be able to spread their creations on this coming 5 days.
Oh, thank you so much, Fahed, and thank you for this clarification. All good. Okay, so Julian Bertini, who is the Azure business lead for the Middle East, Africa at Microsoft. Julian.
Hi, good evening, Maria. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here tonight. And it's a particular pleasure because Homathon and Hackathon are particularly international one, like Mo was saying, I think are the answer to this international unprecedented time that we are facing. And if we look at how, you know, this situation has arisen, sorry, and in the past couple of months, it's fantastic what ideas and feedback we get out of all those communities of people and brains put together. So I'm very, very excited to be here tonight, very, very excited to join this Homathon in Middle East and Africa. Thank you, Maria. And
by the way, Julian, where are you tuning yourself in?
Oh, I'm in Dubai. So salam alaikum to all the Arabic speaker. Hope that everybody is doing really well, and obviously hope that you're all safe. That's the most important. Hello from Dubai.
Cool. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, thank you so much, Julian. So we're moving down to our third panelist, Riyad, the Senior Vice President of STC Group. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone. My name is Riyad Mawad. I'm the Senior VP for the B2B in STC Group, basically looking over the whole enterprise business. Again, I'm happy to be here with my fellow panelists, and we're honored to be the digital enabler of this great event. I've been following up some of the discussions earlier. It sounds very exciting, and we're seeing lots of active participations from all over the kingdom and perhaps across the region. And again, looking forward for a fruitful and insightful discussion with all the great leaders we have today, inshallah. Thanks.
Cool. And last but not last, we have Gilliam, or also known as G, in the panel discussion, who is the VP of Global Community for Startup Grind.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I am based in Cape Town, South Africa, so I'm tuning in from far away, but I can feel in the spirit there with you. I oversee the Global Community for Startup Grind, where we host events every single month for entrepreneurs like yourselves in 600 cities around the world, covering 125 countries. And Mohammed Salah is the man that runs it for us in MENA. So I'm really excited to be part of this hackathon with you, this Homathon. And I'm really excited to see what's going to come out of this and the solutions and how it will help us through this time period. So looking forward to the next several days.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jillian. Yes, so we have quite a good line here. So we have Startup Grind, we have Oracle, we have STC Group, and we have Microsoft joined. So I think we're gonna learn plenty out of the 1 hour discussion. And not to lose any time, I suggest that we dive right into the topic. And just for the audience to understand how we're building this up. So we're going to start with kind of like doing a rundown of the status check, what has happened in the world, and mainly look at the introspection and longevity of the business. Then we're going to move down to understanding what trends are needed to be put in place in order for the businesses to grow steadily and not to, well, let's just be honest and say how it is, die. Right after we've learned from the best on how to transform your businesses to the market needs, we're gonna dive right into how to manage the ones who are actually doing the work behind, making sure your clients are happy and your team is happy. So that's in short. Let's just dive in. So basically, this pandemic is obviously not only a huge burden of us, but at the same time, if you want to keep yourself optimistic and kind of like positive, from one hand, the businessmen or the business managers have also understood that this is a great chance for the introspection and obviously the business assessment. So the first question I want to give to all of our speakers now is to kind of give us a little bit of an overview how teams at your organizations are coping with the situation? What has been so far? What have you changed, and what's the kind of like overall situation? So let's just start with Jilly. Jillian, do you hear us? Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was Julian. Sorry, I thought it was G. My apologies. All right. No, it's
that's
fine. Yeah, it was. I thought it was the other G. Yeah. So very interesting question, Maria. What we see is particularly now at Microsoft, the prime focus for us is really the well-being and the personal well-being of our employees, our partners, and our customers. And this is very interesting compared to what was the situation before. If you look at 5-6 months ago, we were very focused on the business. We were very focused on the different growth of the business. But today, this business shift has happened, and we are really looking at the well-being of the people and individual. And we are not looking at our employees as employees. We are really looking at every single one in particular, and making sure that that person is coping with the current environment. It's very challenging, but I mean, for everybody, we all work from home here in Dubai. We are locked down. I think you mentioned, Maria, in your introduction, that you're also locked down in California. And most of the people in this call are locked down, and the challenge is to the boundaries between work and family time have changed, and that changes a lot in terms of interaction with the team, in terms of how you operate as a business. So the priorities for us in Microsoft today is really to take care of the people, and to take care of every single employee we have in our organization, of every single partner and customers that we have. So I would say this is one of the main change that we see. It starts to operate within the company, and obviously around that, a whole set of new framework of operation is obviously emerging, like remote connections, like we are doing today, right? This is a Homeathon. I mean, I think it's one of the first Homeathon that we do, all from home. We all connected from home in different parts of the world. Usually, those would be live events before the pandemic. So very interesting shift of operation. And obviously businesses, I mean, we see different response to the situation. Some businesses, unfortunately, have had to stop operation, or at least temporary stop operation. So we see a lot of strain on the business. And the industries that have been particularly heavily hit are the airlines, tourism industry, and anything related to construction. This is at least what we see, and other industries are obviously seeing a boom. Like if you take retail, particularly primary needs goods and retail is obviously currently striving, and supply chain is also under extreme pressure. So this is a little bit how the landscape has
changed. For you guys,
go ahead.
Yeah, but for you guys at Microsoft, has there been some particular change when it comes to business, or you guys are more or less running in the same kind of a pace as you did before?
No, that's an excellent question. So for Microsoft, what we've seen is a peak in usage in cloud technology. So we've seen a tremendous growth in Teams. You all know Teams, remote connection, similar to what we are using here, particularly successful in B2B. And obviously, we've seen an explosion in team utilization. Same for Azure. We've seen tremendous growth in all the remote connection technology that you can find with the cloud. And that's been something that was apparent for the last 2-3 months. And obviously, that's been pushing the use case of technology and cloud more than ever before. And that's actually the big change that we saw in terms of business and response from the markets to the critical situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. So how is it looking at Oracle, Fahid? What are some of the learnings you guys have experienced already?
Yeah, thank you, Maria, for the question. In Oracle, actually, the remote work is part of our culture. So we used to do remote working since long time. The corporate have enabled us to, with the right setup, to work remotely, and even our system is accessible remotely. If I take your question, I can go in 2 dimensions. One is internally how we do, and the other one, how do we interact with our customers. Internally, we are doing fine, no change. As I said, it's in our culture, so we are doing great. But with the customers, as you know, Oracle is providing software, hardware, and services. So in terms of hardware, we are facing some difficulties with, as Julian said, with supply chain, with the manufacturing of the hardware, and even delivering the hardware to the customers. So we are facing some challenges here, but in the software era, we are exceeding, as people are utilizing cloud heavily those days, especially things related to COVID-19, things related to remote working. Our enterprise software is in a high demand now, and services goes in 2 parts. One of them is on-site service, where we face some struggle with the lockdown here in Saudi and all over the world. And the remote service, we are doing great. We are able to support our customers and serve them as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Fahid. Let's continue with Riyad.
Okay, thank you, Maria. Very good points from my colleagues over here. I mean, for STC, honestly, the technology has not been an issue. I mean, the video conferencing technology has been there for a while. It's just, as probably Julian and Fahd mentioned, it's the cultural move that we're seeing very interestingly. We never used video conference as much as we would like to, and it seems that this all of a sudden shift in the workforce having conducting their day-to-day business over video conferencing is really changing the whole culture. I mean, for us as a group, obviously safety comes first. So there has been a very strict direction to at least have 90% of the staff working from home. Now, fact is that being the largest provider in the region and the leading provider in the kingdom, lots of our services are crucial and actually becoming now very critical for the businesses to strive, and for our customers at homes to attend these kind of events and workshops and watch the live streamings, for their kids to play online games. So as you can see, I mean, we're kind of split between ensuring safety and remote working and abiding with the whole curfew restrictions. And on the other hand, we need to make sure that our customers are fully satisfied and served at its best. So we've been working with different regulatory bodies to ensure that there's no disruption to the services our consumers or enterprise customers have, to the extent that we have even task forces dedicated for each important segment, and to also ensure that the sensitive kind of customers, be it banks or other government services, are also enabled to co-op with these shifts. Very interesting. I mean, we've been dealing with different vendors, with different suppliers, and obviously we're talking to the Microsofts, the Oracle, and other companies to utilize the best of class tools and see where we can have the possible collaboration and partnership models with those leaders to localize these very crucial technologies in the kingdom, and to really enable the country more into this whole digital new world. I think we're all getting into a new era, and perhaps we're going to come out a bit different, and things might not go back as it used to be. And this shouldn't be a bad thing necessarily. I think we've been talking a lot about digital transformation and how digital can change business. And now we're being forced to. So very interesting times. But again, in STC, this is, as it is a major challenge to any other company, I think it's a major opportunity for us, being a service provider and the leading ICT provider in the kingdom. And we're hopeful, inshallah, for the best. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree with that, Riyad. I think this is definitely an opportunity for out of this stronger. And that being said, G, so as you guys are more or less running remotely for the global, I guess nothing much has changed for you guys, except for the fact that everyone is doing the same that you did for years, right? So now it's finally all coming together and you're like, yes, finally guys, you have realized this.
Yes, but also no, because our HQ team works 100% remotely. However, our actual events are 100% offline and in person. So they're called IRL, in real life. So these events were happening in real life. So, you know, where STC is an enabler to be able to bring the technologies together for the offline, and Oracle and Microsoft are online gurus, we were doing 100% offline, and it totally, overnight, our entire business was totally changed. And we had to really quickly think, what can we do? And what do we do? So we had to go down to what is our basic, what is Startup Round about? And it's about helping entrepreneurs. So we realized we can still do this, and we can do this remotely using new tools. My dream as running the community was always to have an online section and an online membership, but we've never had the time or the resources to do this. This pandemic, as terrible as it is, it's given us that time to stop everything else and focus 100% and completely change our entire business. So within a space of 4 weeks, we moved from 100% offline and in person, and moved completely all our directors to online. This month we're hosting 250 plus events this month alone. We're hoping that by June, July, we'll be hosting 400 to 500 events every single month online to help and assist the entrepreneurs. We're also going to be launching a membership program where people can become part of this membership and be able to get access to the mentors, the speakers, get access to the information and the courses that they need in order to get through this period. So for us, it's been an exceptional change. We're working 24/7 around the clock to try and get the products out and be ahead of the curve. But yes, we've got a lot more competition online, and also having to go into that online space has been an incredible journey. So yeah, it's been exciting, and we'll come out at the end of it much stronger for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a follow-up question on this route. So basically, you mentioned that a lot of entrepreneurs are also obviously facing not only from the big corporations, but small and medium enterprises are facing a lot of challenges at this moment. So everyone is kind of like talking about how we should capitalize this madness that we are at the moment witnessing. So how do you think, G, will this and the crisis will serve as a wake-up call for many entrepreneurs, or will this just be a killer for entrepreneurial excitement? What's your take on that?
My take on it is that it actually really depends. I was reading a study from McKinsey stating that life is definitely going to change after this. They were looking at China, asking questions because they're obviously ahead of things. And some businesses have had to close down. Some businesses are able to make that change, to be able to go on remote or be able to offer different services and pivot very quickly. What they did say, though, which I found was very interesting, was the companies that prepared prior to this pandemic, companies that were ready, whether they had extra bit more cash flow, whether they just were a bit more of a robust, more well thought out business, whatever the case might be, those were the companies looking back at previous disasters and pandemics and issues. Those were the companies that came out better and stronger, and they're seeing that same happening right now. So the advice and the thing that everybody's saying is, if you were ready, if you were prepared, this is going to wake up and realize, wow, I was not ready. Next time I build a company, you know, make sure that you have a well thought out route to market, a well thought out way of making sure there is at least 3 or 4 months, because you never know what's going to happen of cash in the bank. But if you haven't done that, and you're gonna have to close down and restart again or try something else. But for those companies that can pivot quickly and fast and make that change, go all in, go all out, and give it the best you got.
Mm-hmm. Riyad, you mentioned that you guys have a surge in just recently in many of your businesses, that in many of your products that you are offering to the world. How are you kind of tackling the assessment of the companies when it comes to their changed business models, or that you have noticed? Are there any implications that you might not be kind of taking into mind that a lot of companies might not survive after this? So how to tell that the business model will be still relevant after the pandemic?
Very good question. Thank you, Maria. I think back to some points of my colleagues here mentioned, this serves as a good wake-up call, and perhaps the impact is different among different industries. So we see industries who are quite surviving well on the retail side, and suffering lots of disruption on the transportation, for example, and entertainment industry. So for us, what we're seeing here is there's lots of great opportunities when it comes to a real crisis management planning. I mean, all of us, we've been working in different companies across, and we've always heard about DR, disaster recovery plans, business continuity, strategic engagements, initiatives, stuff, but people never really took it seriously till it hit them. Now with the whole COVID-19 pandemic, people started to realize how serious this is. And for lots of our customers who I'm dealing with, it really makes a big difference between survival or going bankrupt, is how much ready they were. I mean, we've seen retailers who were at least equipped with the basic online tools and e-commerce and e-payment tools, were able to at least manage through these tough times, while others who've been stuck with the traditional ways really couldn't manage, and they just suffered from the lockdown and went out of business. Now, for STC, we've been planning over the past 5 years into how to transform our services into more of a digital area, and moving away from being just a telco provider. And hence we've started building our infrastructure and offerings around this. And we're seeing an uptick now, be it on the SME side and the large enterprises and government services on these digital services. It's not actually about now having your network up and running. It's just what are the right systems, tools, and applications you can serve over these companies. Obviously, then cybersecurity concerns comes in. So lots of questions that really haven't been looked at carefully. And I think, although this is tough time, and we're going to see lots of companies going through this major shift, it's probably good to really start focusing on what means a lot. Fahad mentioned working on enterprise software and applications, also Julian on Microsoft. And I think these kind of cloud-based services and the whole digital notion of working from home has, let's say, tackled the concerns lots of business owners and lots of industries and verticals were challenged to take through. Now we're seeing the healthcare industry, for example, one of the big gainers, let's say, from the whole pandemic. We've been talking about telemedicine and telehealth initiatives all over the past 10 years, but never hasn't been really practiced, nor even properly regulated. We're seeing now this is happening in place. E-education, e-learning. I mean, the technology has been there for 10 years, but never practically been used, and now we're seeing it. For us, from a telco side, this puts a lot of pressure, but it's being also relieved from the other side as we start to push a new set of opportunities. In STC, we're basically re-strategizing, refocusing our investments. One of the colleagues mentioned, I think it's cash. I think cash is very important. You probably need to refocus your investments, cut unnecessary expenses. STC is doing this, and I think this is the obvious move for any company, no matter how big it is, whether it's Apple, Microsoft, or Google, or Oracle. I think efficiency is now the name of the game, and how to really adopt and ride this new wave of digital. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. I think you already tackled that. For many, this is about finding opportunities, understanding how to be swift and agile. And obviously, the current market trends are going to be kind of hard to understand and hard to predict, but to do is try, because no one's going to figure it out in our place. And thus, Julian, can you probably follow up on Riyad's already mentioned industry changes? So what do you think from your view, not only from your perspective, but globally, which areas will be impacted the most, and what should the participant at the moment probably shift to when they are thinking about what ideas should they build, or what projects should they tackle, and so forth?
Right, thank you, Maria. It's a very good question, and I will compliment on what Riyad and Fahad have said. If we look at industries, right, the industry that have been particularly hit by the situation are industries, service industries, anything related to human contact, except healthcare, obviously, which as Riyad said is an industry today which is obviously booming, not in the right sense, but we see growth in healthcare everywhere. Other industries that are again benefiting are definitely retail, particularly retailers who are focusing around goods, first necessity goods like food and beverage, because as we all work from home and we are all social distancing, it's more than ever important that we keep having access to water, food, and food supplies, right, and medical supplies if we need to have medical supplies at home. So the kind of remote delivery, e-retail is obviously benefiting from this. When we look at what we are focusing on, Maria, in Microsoft, we see kind of three pillars that we are focusing on. First of all, businesses are focusing on keeping their people connected, employees together, but also, and I think Fahad mentioned that, employees to partners and partners to customers. We need to stay connected, and today this event is an example of that. So that's one of the primary concerns we see across the board. The other concern that we see across the board is how do I keep, as a business owner, how do I keep my business running, and how do I keep my data safe? It's very important because people realize, and I think Riyad said it very well, people realize today that you cannot just operate the way you operated before. We are in an emergency situation. And if you don't have the proper emergency plan in place, it's very hard to operate. And customers, I think, people are facing that more than ever. I mean, if you don't have connectivity in your office, you cannot work from home. And in the tech industry, we take this for granted, but it is not granted. And there are still a lot of industries who don't work with that. So that's the other one. And the last one, which again, Riyad mentioned really well, is optimizing cost. In the new reality, whatever the new reality will be, because I think nobody knows really what the new reality will be. In the new reality, what is for sure is that optimizing the way we've been operating is going to be a tremendous driver for decision making, and that's where also the digital transformation will play an even bigger role than it was before. Making sure that you can do more with less, optimize your technological resources, your resources across the board, is going to be of tremendous importance moving forward. And these are the three trends that we are capturing, Maria, across the different industries that partners and customers we are working with at Microsoft.
Thank you. So G, you mentioned that there are many regions across the globe for startup grind that are have already adapted to the current situation. What do you think are the biggest obstacles when it comes to the regions that have not yet responded that swiftly?
It's a very, what I'm calling one of the basic needs of people these days, internet and connectivity. In Africa, we're seeing a lot of our chapters aren't able to take part or be able to deliver incredible on the task and moving online because they simply don't have the infrastructure that they need. And other third world countries as well. And it's actually, it's like heartbreaking to see this because they've got so much talent, so much potential, so much things. I know there are companies that are obviously solving this, but we really need to be working faster and harder as a global organization to help solve these problems. Because without this internet, as you can see, it's a powerful tool. Without it, they're not getting the education, they're not getting the insights, they're not able to take part of the global landscape and how it's changing at the moment. That's our biggest thing that we're seeing at the moment is just really internet connectivity.
Yeah, it's going to be fairly sucks. Okay, guys, so from Oracle point of view and from Microsoft point of view and from SDC point of view, run global corporations, and you have probably noticed a lot of approaches and strategies and tactics for years, how to reinvent yourselves from beyond and above. My question would be about some particular strategies and tactics that you have already used before that might be applied to our current situation, not only for tech companies, but also for business, medium-sized businesses, and so on. So basically, can you name some examples and some case studies that you've with your teams and companies that could be applied to our current situation? Let's start with Fahid here.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. I would, if I can comment on what my colleagues said, Riyad and Julian. So looking at, I'll start from where they end. If we look at the benefits coming out of this pandemic, from where they end. If we look at there is an echo. Okay, thank you. So the benefits, in my opinion, are now the expenses. I agree that sales might go down, but also the expenses went extremely down. So companies like us, where we used to travel, we are not traveling now. We used to arrange some big marketing events where we spend a lot of money on that event. We are not. We are doing it virtually, and this has cut the expenses extremely. Also, the efficiency now. We are instead of driving to the meeting, now you are having the virtual meeting. So you have saved lots of time, and that's increased the productivity as well. So instead of having 3 meetings a day, you are having 6. And I would refer to a video was published last week by our chairman and founder, Larry Ellison, 3-minute video. He was saying the same. He said his productivity increased 3 times after doing a remote working. So those are some benefits coming from the remote working. And also referring to your question, In my opinion, in the past, and the same what Riyadh have mentioned, in the past, we used to approach the CIOs and with our some emerging technologies and new technologies, where a kind of they believe us or they understand what we are saying. But when they take it above to the chairman, to the CEO, they think sometimes it's not the right time to invest on something like this. But let's imagine that a manufacturer using robotics now, if instead of working with 20% or 30% of their capacity with this car view, they would have worked with 70 to 75% of their capacity using those robotics. Let's take another example. Most of you have seen the pizza that got delivered by autonomous car for sure, where some pizza shops now are offering you uncooked pizza and you cook it at home. So if you have this technology or this artificial intelligence and machine learning, you would have deliver the same product that you are delivering in the normal days with more safety and high quality. So what I'm trying to say that I believe, as Riyadh was referring to disaster recovery and failover, I believe as well the artificial intelligence, which we were talking about that it's coming in the future. I believe now they will go for it. Second, all the rumors they were saying about artificial intelligence and it will cut jobs and it will leave people unemployed. Now it proved to be wrong. Those are some of the benefits that I see coming out of this pandemic. Now, if I take it for Oracle, Oracle has worked on multiple applications to serve this pandemic and this to address this COVID-19. One of them, we have worked locally with one of the largest research centers using our cloud data center that we have in Saudi. We avail a high performance computing HPC environment for them to run their researches and get better results, where they managed to get and to reduce the time for getting the results from weeks to days, even to hours sometimes. We have also using the artificial intelligence, we are utilizing our chatbot to address some of the requests that coming remotely. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But so many companies doesn't have the access to your resources. Like they don't have access to artificial intelligence labs or data centers and so forth. So my question was more like, what can be put from your experience and applied to existing companies out there that don't have the kind of set all those necessary tools set in place. So basically, are there any approaches on how to, maybe it's about mindset, maybe it's about managing teams, on how to quickly move forward kind of transformation?
Yeah, thank you, Maria, for the question. Yes, this is what we are doing actually in this Homathon. We are providing our services and our cloud to all the startups to build their application using our cloud, artificial intelligence, and our software and tools as well. And currently, we have many startups and very famous startup names, which I maybe cannot share today, are running their application on our cloud. and our solution as well. One, yeah, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Fahid. So, Julian, can you mention some of the approaches that you have used at Microsoft to make new products and push them out even swifter?
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, so we went through a couple of things interesting. So the first one is, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we've organized a couple of virtual hackathon around COVID-19. So we are trying to, as much as possible, use remote technologies to educate the people around and to educate the people about technology, but also about what technology can do to help in such an emergency situations. So and it proves that when people have time, you know, educating yourself and reskilling yourself and using the time to learn new skills is actually very beneficial for companies, particularly startups, as well as for businesses. So as for individuals, sorry. Developers gain a lot of new skills and have time to reskill themselves, while at the same time they can apply those new skills into new business models. Like Fahad was saying, we see also a very high adoption of AI solutions, particularly chatbots, where there is so much uncertainty, so much distress, emotional distress from the populations in the different countries that it's very hard sometimes for government and for healthcare institutions to answer the number of questions you might get. For example, what are the symptoms of COVID? Am I infected because I'm coughing? So for that, AI plays a crucial role in actually filtering some of that and offloading the healthcare system. So we've seen that by teaching some developers during hackathon around about what machine learning and AI technology can do, this is given the effect of very interesting use cases that we saw pop up in Africa and in the GCC related to the adoption of AI and machine learning in companies. Another one that is also coming up now, more and more from customers, and that we are currently working with customers, is how to predict the future. The nature of the future has never been so unpredictable. And as I said at the beginning, I think Fahad and Riyad kind of alluded to the same, is that it's very hard for us to predict how the new reality will look like. And using some, you know, analytics, deep analytics, real-time analytics, is something that could help businesses, citizens, and individuals as ourselves to understand how the future will unveil in front of us. And this is something that we see a lot, and customers are very interested to genuinely look at how they are handling with the data that they have. How can they better predict the future? How can they better predict demand as well, so that we don't run short of supplies around the world? Yeah, because as you know, if you're running out of supplies of certain, you know, medicine, for example, it might be a problem for certain people. So how to prevail that? How to prevent that? These are the type of things that we are educating customers about with the technology that we have, and how the cloud can benefit. I mean, you made a good point, Maria, is not everyone has access today to advanced tech. And that's where the cloud, and that's where with Microsoft, we've been working hard, and we've been promoting this for the last 5-6 years now, is with the cloud, you have direct access to any type of new technology. If you log on Azure today, you can have access to the latest machine learning cognitive services that we have available for you, and leverage them on your current data sets, and make sure that you can take things out. And so what we are doing is driving webinars and hackathon a lot with the different audience that we address in the Middle East and Africa, and obviously in Saudi Arabia as well. And we will continue to do so, because we believe that educating people is the best we can do at this point to make sure that people can best benefit from technology.
Yes, I definitely agree to the point about the education. But to follow up on one of the points you mentioned, speaking of the new reality, Riyadh, you have gone through. This is the second crisis for you, probably, right? So you've seen what happened the last time, and like more than 10 years ago already. Can you share some of that you experienced back then, and do you see some correlation at the moment, and what can be taken in mind once issues and following up with actions?
Okay, interesting question. I think if we look at the whole IT industry landscape between 2008 and now, there's a big difference from how business in this IT industry is being taken. I mean, back then, most of the IT spending was based on CapEx-based approach. We didn't have the clouds and lots of the online services that we have today. So I think back then, obviously certain industries were extremely hit, but also we've had some hits on the IT spending overall. In this current area or a pandemic, I think the major difference is how valuable is the digital to the livelihood of any organization, be it from their internal, maintaining their internal work, access to their systems, or even reaching out and interfacing with their daily customers. So this is where we see a big difference. Back then, I wouldn't say the hit was big, but also the opportunity wasn't big as well for the whole IT and tech industry. Nowadays, no, I think the hit more or less is absorbed or can be absorbed, but the opportunity is much bigger because now we have simply a much more mature customer, a much more demanding customer. We have a totally different generation who are running companies today than they used to be back in 2008, although it's only 10 years, but it's a big gap in terms of the mindset and digital, say, readiness. So I think this is the main highlight. But to the point the gentleman were mentioning, I mean, for us, maybe we're not as advanced as Microsoft or Oracle when it comes to artificial intelligence and cloud. They're the leaders in this. But let me share with you, I mean, one of the examples that could also help you understand what I'm saying. 1/3 of my organization are sales, for example, and obviously with this lockdown, they're not able to interface with these customers as they used to do. And nevertheless, the demand on the traditional services are not as it used to be. So for me, I think this is a blessing in disguise that it really pushed the sales to relook at what kind of products to really start this consultative approach with the customers and to understand their businesses. So now I'm seeing my teams are working on developing products that are addressing certain verticals that we never thought of working on. And perhaps because we're local and we have the agility and the flexibility to deal with different partners, so our go-to-market is probably much faster. We introduced the concept of the virtual account manager. So this is something we didn't have, and even if we had, it wasn't really utilized as the way we want. So now we're getting more closer to the customers. We're understanding more their needs, and also from at a higher level, on a government level, let's say, we're seeing more interest and willingness to look into PPP model, whereby the private sector can really help the government in providing public services, and it becomes win-win. There are new opportunities as there are lost opportunities for some businesses. So in many aspects, maybe some won't agree with me. I think there are lots of winners coming out of this. Hopefully we'll come out all of it safe and soon, inshallah. But I think the IT industry is perhaps one of the big gainers out of this pandemic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So basically, all know for sure that the history repeats itself, and there's going to be the next crisis. So we better get ourselves prepared. So, G, as you have loads of experience in remote work, let's now cut to the chase of how to best manage and so that not only the teams would be happy and prosperous and would have these amazing ambitions in order to fulfill their callings, but also to make the clients happy, of course, for the business to strive. So based now, it's more important than ever to skill up your employees. And how can we do that? What are some particular technical tools or set of approaches that you can recommend to our viewers here?
Absolutely. So I'm going to address it at this point in time in this crisis we're in at the moment. And it would go around 2 or 3 things, which is mainly about transparency as an organization, as a team leader, being transparent about where you are, what's happening in the company, and how with that transparency you can tell your employees, you can tell your team, this is what's happening, this is where we need to be, let us work as a team to get there. But that also involves communication. So spending a lot of time communicating with your teams and doing one-on-one sessions, doing big calls, using tools to be able to do that, obviously, but ensuring that you're communicating with them all the time and finding out, firstly, are they safe? Is everything okay? I like what Julian said, that the company is looking at the people at the company, at the staff, at the employees, at their clients. Are you okay? Is there anything you can help first? And then starting to address the businesses and how we can change those models. The other thing is also obviously looking at your expenditures, ensuring that, like everybody said here, cutting those costs, bringing it down and focusing and becoming focused on what it is. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't move the needle, if it doesn't change things, if this is not going to be able to make you successful in the next coming months, you should not be working on it. Stop immediately with those projects and start focusing on the things that are going to bring that company success. It might be monetary, it might be whatever, but start focusing on that. And then with the upskilling is finding out there's so many beautiful online courses right now. And a lot of them are opening up their abilities to become free or at least cheaper or something. While you're doing those communications and the one-on-ones with your teams, finding out what is it that they want to excel in and does that align with your business. Oftentimes you might find somebody who wants to get a better course in where they are because they've chosen this career path. Then help them, give them those tools and the time to be able to spend on getting to those betterments. So over weekends, we can't go anywhere anyway, pay for that course so that they can study, and it better them. Not only will it benefit them as an employee, it'll also benefit you as a company owner. So those are the hot tips. And then technology as well, obviously making use of technology and systems to be able to automate the processes so that you can be more efficient.
Yeah, and to follow up that, a lot of and organizations now are looking towards how to keep the trust in place when it comes to communicating the changes from organizational perspective to and customers out there. So what can you, from your experience, probably roll out that would work are working with a huge global community around the world and have so many tactics in place for that to be engaged?
With community, the one thing I have found is that people are very busy with their own lives. So even our chapter leaders, our community at large, they're very busy. They're trying to firefight their business. They're trying to find everything. So when one communicates, don't just send out one tweet. Don't just send out one piece of communication. It's a constant story and narrative that you must be constantly pushing out through all your channels over and over. Obviously, not be spamming and sending 5 emails one after the other, but ensure that the community see the message, and that you are open to discuss it and open to have those discussions and being transparent, and talk about the hard things. So one of my tips is, if a person reads it 5 times, that's when they've actually seen it and will take action on it. So ensure that through your marketing and through your things that each individual gets it roughly 3 to 5 times that piece of content through different channels, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thanks for that, G. So our time is out, and the session more or less has ended. Thank you so much, all the panelists, aka the biggest Hoomathon, for making this happen and for sharing your experience. Just to quickly wrap up, I think it's now pretty safe to say that and being swift in your actions will play the crucial role of how the next few years will turn out for your business. And it's going to be hard to understand the market needs and the customer behavior, but as we've done this previously, we can do it. So without any further ado, we're ending this session on this high and highlighted note. So guys, you better share good projects so MENA region can be proud of some really cool startups emerging quite soon from that. So much, and I will ask Mo to probably come back to the airtime here. Mo, are you there? Or someone else who wants to take over. We can, of course, still continue talk here, but I believe you, because we were cut from the Q&A session just to keep everything in time.
Thank you, everyone.
Maria.
All right. Well, thank you, Maria, and everyone else. It's been a pleasure being with you. Definitely very insightful. Learned a lot of things, and hopefully our audience also enjoyed it. Really appreciate it, and please keep in touch and stay safe, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ian.
Well, thank you, Maria. Thank you, everyone, for having me. As I said at the beginning, I wish all the participants all the best. Before I leave you, I would like just to say that Oracle is opening all their certificates and all their courses starting from 1st of April until end of May for free, which usually costs thousands of dollars. So all the technologies in the clouds are between your hands. So it is an opportunity for all of the participants to get these courses and to get certified as well. And thank you very much for everyone, and thank you for having me tonight.
Thank you, Maria, and everyone, and thanks for having us here. Obviously, my first thought is please be all safe, everyone. And I would like to also mention 2 things. We are running what we call Cloud Society in Middle East and Africa, which is a great framework for you to learn everything about the cloud and about Azure in particular. And you can find more information by searching for Cloud Society on internet. And the other one is we're also having an AI business school in partnership with INSEAD, where we run AI courses, but linked to the business, where you can learn business cases, Maria, up to your question, and how can AI help different businesses, but also help in the context of COVID and emergency situations. So please feel free to also go and check that out. It's an AI business school and Cloud Society. Thank you very much, everyone, and please be all safe. Yeah, that's the most important. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. This was really great, and I'm really excited to see what the people at the Hoomathon are going to come up with and solve with, and using the great tools that these amazing suppliers and providers are providing. And obviously we are hosting events almost every single day around the world. So feel free to tune into any Startup Grind event anywhere and get connected with the community, get those resources, get the help that can help you take you to business to the next level. So, and thank you. This is great panel hosting from Maria. So, and thanks to all the sponsors and partners, obviously. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. And I'm out as well. All the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing what's going to be built in a home. Bye, guys.